Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2538 of the Cabral Concept. If you want to follow along, get the three big takeaways from today's show, you can head on over to stephencabral.com/2538. Today, we're going to be going through the very specific anti-anxiety and anti-depression-based nutrients that your body needs in order to be able to feel a sense of calm, in order to feel happy. So what most people know is there are specific neurotransmitters that are produced in the body that are produced only through, though, being able to get the nutrients that our body needs in order to make those happen. So it's very interesting because a lot of times, even in natural health, we look towards great herbal supplements, and these herbs are going to help improve our overall body and our mind. And I don't disagree with that by any, means at all. Meaning like Ayurvedic medicine, 6,000 plus years old, traditional Chinese medicine, 3,000 plus years old. And these are clinically studied. I mean, we can show you, and we have actually all over 2022, every Friday review podcast was on a specific herb, and we actually went through all the scientific studies, behind them. But the truth is that before you get to herbs, your body is not necessarily lacking in herbs. So I always, relate it like this. So when you have high cholesterol, your body's not lacking a statin drug, and that's why you have high cholesterol, right? So you have imbalanced cholesterol, maybe higher inflammatory-based proteins in the body for specific reasons. And yes, you can absolutely use certain herbs or medication in order to lower that if you feel like that's what you should do. But the truth is that there are specific deficiencies, which are vitamins or minerals or omegas or other things like that that are essential to the body that we have to get that may be out of balance first. Then, of course, there are certain toxicities. So what I like to do is I say, okay, everybody who we work with in our practice and integrative health practitioners work with, they need the foundations of a healthy nutritional protocol. And then after that, if we want to layer on great herbs, certainly we could do that. And I'll share some of that with you today. But what I want to do is just make sure that you know how serotonin, the happy, feel-good neurotransmitter, is made in your body. And I also want to share with you how GABA, the anti-anxiety neurotransmitters made in your body. So if serotonin is like the antidepressant, right? If you have depression and you go the conventional medicine route and you look for a psychiatrist, they will prescribe you an SSRI, right? Or something like that, right? They're going to prescribe a SSRI, which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And what does that mean? Well, again, if you're watching this on video, and you can watch it on video right on YouTube or at stephencabral.com/2538, but you'll see that serotonin, that's the antidepressive-based neurotransmitter. And when you take an SSRI, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, it just keeps more of this in your blood or between what's called the synaptic cleft. And I'll probably do a separate show on that. But without getting too deep into the science, because I don't want to lose anyone here, because this is really important, is that the SSRI is not creating more serotonin per se. It's simply allowing what little serotonin you may have to be available to the body because it's not reuptaking it. So that's how I like to look at it. So what we do from a underlying root cause imbalance is saying, why isn't this person producing more serotonin, right? And so like that to me makes sense. That to me is actual health care, right? Not sick care. We're actually helping the person to produce more of the happy, feel-good neurotransmitter, serotonin. So we'll get to the anti-anxiety neurotransmitter in just a moment, but really simple, really straightforward. You can start with higher tryptophan foods. And what I'll do is I'm going to link up another podcast today at stephencabral.com/2538. So I just get those who want more information. But we'll just link up a podcast that's going to get you more information on serotonin and high tryptophan-based foods. But basically, you can eat foods that are higher in tryptophan. And those foods are going to then boost the first, we'll call it nutrient from food. And you can take it as a supplement, sure, but we typically don't do that unless it's like before bed because it can make you a little bit more sleepy. And we're going to take that nutrient, and then we hope that it then gets converted to serotonin. But it doesn't for many, many people. And why doesn't that happen? And this chart, which is a really nice chart here that we use on our neurotransmitter test, and again, anybody can run this neurotransmitter test right at home, children 3 years old up to however old an individual is. And that's just a simple urine test. So we'll link that lab up as well at stephencabral.com/2538. All right, so everything will be at that link and going forward. So tryptophan needs two specific nutrients to become serotonin. So what it needs is something called on the elemental table Fe, which is just, when we look at it, it's iron, all right? So when we're looking at iron, we need that in order to become 5-HTP, which is 5-hydroxytryptophan, right? So 5-HTP, you see that typically taken more in supplemental form. We certainly use that every once in a while in our practice, and certainly we use it in our sleep help support protocol as well. But then there's one specific vitamin that I love to sing its praises, and that's vitamin B6, typically taken as paradoxal 5-phosphate, P5P. And those two things, we'll say, help to convert tryptophan to serotonin. Now, what's also interesting, though, is that if an individual is getting enough tryptophan, but yet they are low in iron from a functional level or B6 because of, let's say, high levels of stress or gut dysfunction or low hydrochloric acid in the stomach, and they're not able to basically break these down and use them, they may take in all the tryptophan or 5-HTP that they want, but they're not converted into serotonin. This is why this is so important to understand that the way that we get sick in life, in both mind and body, is through deficiencies as we get older, or something called toxicities. And the toxicities are things as well that can block this absorption. So for example, anything that's a stressor in the body, literally anything in terms of emotions, mind, gut inflammation, heavy metals, etc., could actually lower our levels of B vitamins. So it's important to look at that, right? And then there's also the iron-based issue, and the iron-based issue could simply be from a low iron-based food in the diet, or it might be a conversion issue there as well. And so I think that that's important to look at that, everything from thyroid, and so there's multiple cofactors to this. Okay, so now we know we need iron and vitamin B6 in order to create that happy, feel-good neurotransmitter. But wait, there's more, right? Because the recycling can actually happen then through what is called melatonin. And although this isn't necessarily listed here, we're typically using magnesium as part of these cofactors. There's acetyl coenzyme A, and there's also something called SAMe, which I'm going to explain to you in this next chart as well, which is really important for a lot of individuals. We don't actually supplement with SAMe. We'll tell you how to get it naturally. But a lot of people, because of genetic mutations, and I'm one of those individuals, they don't actually properly methylate. That means they don't use B vitamins like folate and B12 and B6 to a smaller degree as well as they can. All right, and there's one way to make sure we get this serotonin out of the body, and that is Cu, that's copper, and vitamin B2. So again, if we look at this, the whole antidepressive neurotransmitter pathway, we're looking at iron, we're looking at vitamin B6, we're looking at copper, we're looking at vitamin B2, magnesium is in there, and then our methylated B vitamins like B9, which is folate, and B12, which is methylcobalamin, so methylfolate and methylcobalamin. So really important that we look at all these different cofactors, because I'm almost guaranteeing you that your psychiatrist or your doctor that's prescribing that SSRI has never told you about how to actually make more serotonin naturally, right? So yes, you want to do the things that reduce stress in your life. Yes, you want to work on the childhood-based trauma. Like, all of those things are real. They're serious. I'm not saying they're not, but we've actually made the work, that type of work, the trauma-based work, the therapeutic-based work with a counselor easier by giving your body the nutrients that it needs in order to actually create the neurotransmitter, which makes you happy in the first place. So this is really important to look at that. All right, so now, and again, a lot of people talk about NAD. We'll save that for another show, but you need all of these vitamins and nutrients, right? This is copper, the iron, B2, B6, they're all in there. That's how you get these things out of the body, and you actually produce more, with NAD also coming from vitamin B3, niacin as well. All right, so right now, there's one more. I was gonna bring it up, but let me bring it up for everybody. It's called tetrahydrobiopterin. A lot of people might have seen that as BH4. on this particular graph. Just understand that BH4, we don't have to worry about that. It's not something we supplement with. This is just simply one of those cofactors that works with nitric oxide in the body to actually be able to create this conversion as well. And that's why as we get older, typically we're not utilizing nitric oxide and all of its cofactors in their proper way, which again is why we get older, all these things start to break down. Now, they're all fixable. Just keep that in mind. We just replace the deficiencies and begin to remove those toxicities. I can't stress that enough. I talk about that in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. The Rain Barrel Effect is free. You literally just pay for shipping at StephenCabral.com. You're welcome to pick up a copy if you have not already done so. 100% of all profits go to charity. All right, so let's move on. And I'll link up a free show on nitric oxide as well. So here is the glutamate, GABA, glycine, histamine, and taurine graphs. What are we really going to be focused on right here? We're going to be focused not necessarily on the histamine and the taurine used for detox and histidine used for energy, but also can create hives and other issues within the body. What we're going to focus on right here is the glutamine, glutamate, GABA, glycine channel. And we're going to focus on that because this is an amazing way to reduce anxiety naturally. And again, I always have to give you the disclaimer. I'm not here to provide you with any medical advice, any medical cures, medical treatment plans, or medical diagnosis in any way. What I like to do is simply give you another way of thinking, a foundational way of thinking about your overall body and health. And certainly when it comes to medications, you're going to talk to your PCP or specialist about that. All right. So there's a lot of people out there that when they take in glutamine, which is essential for the body, and especially since when you get stressed, you are using up vitamin C, zinc, your B vitamins, and glutamine. You're literally going through those as quick as you are stressed, right? So these are essential. We absolutely need them for rebuilding muscle tissue, connective tissue, our skin, our hair, all these great things we need it for, right? And our gut lining, very, very important for digestion. All right, but when some people take in glutamine, they might get feelings of anxiety, or they might get feelings of obsessive compulsive disorder, or all sorts of different neurological based issues. And it's very interesting. And it's not because that product isn't needed by them, it's because oftentimes they are missing the cofactors to properly convert glutamine to glutamate and then get that out of the body or convert it right over to GABA, right? GABA is that anti-anxiety based neurotransmitter. So what do we need? Again, if you talk to your psychiatrist, are they ever going to mention these particular vitamins and minerals? No, they're not. And the reason is that it's just not what they do. That's the truth. They never learned this in medical school. If they did, which is very, very rare, it's not what health insurance and it's not what their medical malpractice recommends they do. If someone comes in with depression or anxiety and they are a danger to themselves or other people, et cetera, or they're just looking for relief, they prescribe a pharmaceutical. And so, it is what it is. It's two schools of thought. I like to work on a fundamental, foundational principle level and not try to mask these symptoms. And especially, again, but I understand there's acute-based circumstances. Again, if someone has high blood pressure that's through the roof, it's 160 over 110, okay, the person might be on blood pressure medication just to make sure they don't have a stroke. I get that, I understand that, while working on the underlying root causes. So don't get me wrong, I understand that there's a time and place for medication, but I just hope that people have the ability, or I should say not even the ability, because everybody has the ability, but they're given the alternative thought process that there is a way out of this if they want a non-pharmaceutical intervention. So how do we convert then glutamine, right, which we get from basically protein-based foods, right? So if you eat protein, you're getting glutamine. So just so everybody knows out there, like you're getting that no matter what. And same with tryptophan to the same regard. Okay, what do we need? Well, Mg, that stands for magnesium. All right, so we know we need magnesium and we need Mn, which is manganese. Okay, so we need manganese, we need magnesium. Magnesium to a greater degree, manganese to a lower degree. But we need those in order to convert to then glutamate. But we don't just want to convert to glutamate, because if we convert to glutamate, and this chart doesn't show it, it's a simple chart. I think it's a beautiful chart that shows you all the different vitamins and minerals needed. But there is something called glutamic acid, and we don't want this to basically become glutamic acid, and that's not good for the nervous system as well. So then how do we get it to GABA? How do we get it out of the body? Vitamin B6. We talked about that before. It's one of my missing vitamins that I have such a great affection for, and the reason is that it is one of the nutrients that my mentor introduced me to many, many, many years ago. And I've had a profound difference when I started taking vitamin B6. Now, I do want to share with you, and this kind of brings us over to this next graph. We have vitamin B6, and we've got MTHF, that just stands for methyl tetrahydrofolate. It's a fancy word for saying the methylated version of folic acid. And we need vitamin B6 again for serine. Serine is a great, when I see the word serine, I think of serene, and that's what you should think about as well, calming, serene. How do we get these things out of the body? Well, a lot of that process has to do with methylation and what's called SAMe. Again, I don't recommend, I have not seen, if you're doing all the foundational based things, I haven't seen people need to add additional SAMe. I'm not against it. I'm certainly not against it. It's just like way down on my like not even tier 1, 2, or 3 supplements that I would use with someone. Because here's why. This is the last graph I want to take you through. Okay, we're looking at tetrahydrofolate. That's just, again, methylated folic acid, right? So here's folic acid. 30 to 40% of the population simply cannot properly process folic acid. So it builds up and becomes toxic in their body. Again, your OB isn't going to tell you that with pregnancy. Your psychiatrist isn't. Your conventional medicine doctor isn't. Just understand that we know so much about genetics now, and we know that, again, a good third or more of the population is not going to be able to process it properly. So people need what's called methylfolate, right? And so if you work with a functional medicine practitioner or integrative health practitioner, or that's why I always say use a functional medicine brand of supplements, they're going to always use methylfolate because they want the best results for their clients. Okay, so we've got folic acid. What's this now? It's B12. That's methylcobalamin, right? Converting to methionine and converting to SAMe, right? Adenosylmethionine. And so, again, you don't need to worry about what all of this means, but it means that your body needs B6, B9, which is methylfolate, and B12, which is methylcobalamin, right? So it needs these things to ultimately get it out of the body. You can even see B6 appearing right here, right? In order to move to sulfate helping with the detox part of the body. So what I want to share with you just in summary, if you're someone dealing with anxiety, if you're someone dealing with depression from a non-medical standpoint, I just highly recommend looking into a good, nutritious, balanced meal plan. And all this is free, again, at all my podcasts. But then also the cofactors that you may be missing, which is if we take it from the top, iron, but I would get that from food sources whenever possible, always from food for iron. Then B6 in supplemental form as needed, and you may need it because if you're eating a good nutritious diet and you're still feeling these things, you may need it. So we got B6, that's P5P, we've got some copper, we've got some B2, then we've got SAMe, which is your B6, B9, which is folate, and B12 that I spoke about. And then over here, we have magnesium, manganese, and vitamin B6. So again, what you're looking at, do you need to take all of these individually? This is my last point. The answer is no. I almost never recommend individual vitamins. They all work so much better as a family of vitamins. So when you want B6, you want B2, which I didn't mention, you want B12, you want B9, you want to take them as what's called an activated B complex. It's the whole B vitamin family because, yes, these specific ones are used for these particular neurotransmitters, but B1 is then also used for the thyroid. And so like you can go down the line. So that's what I always recommend. You can start at a lower dosage, 25 to 50 milligrams for most of these. It's not all like folates in micrograms. I can't link up the products that I use in my practice, but you can certainly search them. Activated B complex, or an easier way to get all of these that I just mentioned is something called the daily activated multi, which is activated just means methylated, and or the daily nutritional support. And those are all at stephencabral.com/shop. Just understand that you could get these through your integrative health practitioner. You can get them with your local naturopathic doctor. You can get them in a local functional medicine practice that actually specializes in this. So the choice is always yours. Just know that this is actually what the body's looking for. It's not looking for a pharmaceutical. It's honestly not. I mean, the body knows how to make these neurotransmitters. I can get much deeper into what might be wrong with the gut, because the gut is actually producing, as they say, 90% of the serotonin in your body. So you might have gut-based inflammation. There might be a lot going on. But at least from a foundational level, your body needs magnesium. It needs the B vitamins. It's just so crucial that you make sure you get these in order to stay balanced, in order to stay happy. And yes, everybody gets stressed in life, but you want to be able to pull yourself out of that fairly quickly. So anxiety and low mood is normal in life. What's just not, what we would consider normal, and I'm using that in air quotes because there is no such thing as just normal for everyone, is kind of a gradient, right? It's that you want, yes, always to feel and experience all the emotions in life. And sometimes we don't want to, but that is part of life, right? But the ability to be able to feel happy and to wake up with energy and to be in a good mood, that is what I consider your birthright. You should have that. So hopefully today's show was helpful. I know that it was just an overall view, but I try to keep my shows to 20 minutes so that you can tune in daily so that I can continue to try to stack the information you need in order to take control of your health. So I'm going to link up everything that I spoke about today except for the nutritional supplements at StephenCabral.com/2538. And if you want to find the supplements that we use in our practice beyond the Good Healthy Nutrition Plan, of course, is at StephenCabral.com/shop. Have an amazing day. Feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody.